This is the Defenders podcast on TV Podcast Industries. We're talking about Miss Marvel, episode 6, No Normal, the season 1 finale.
Stop stalling. Don't you see this kid could put you all at risk? If you are abetting a potential suspect, no one will be on your side, Sheik.
I don't need anyone on my side. I'm not even concerned if God is on my side, as long as I am on his side. For God is always right.
I don't have time for chronic quotes. Excuse me.
Actually, that was Abraham Lincoln.
Welcome back to Defenders TV podcast on TV Podcast Industries. We're talking about the finale of Miss Marvel, episode 6 of the first season, No Normal. I'm one of your hosts, Derek.
Hello there, fellow Defenders. I am one of your other hosts, John. Yes, back in the saddle. Gonna miss that theme.
Yeah, it's a good theme, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I really like it.
I love the little choice of the
It just feels really Kamala Khan-like.
It does.
I'm really
It
glad
really
I
does.
really glad I played it. Yes, just the two of us here for our finale discussion of Ms. Marvel. Unfortunately, Chris missed out in both finale episodes that we had
I
to
know.
do. Yeah.
He is really shirking his responsibilities now at this stage. Yes. He'll need to be told off. He's a very naughty boy.
This is what happens when we don't get previews and we have to do stuff and fit them into the time we have available rather than working with our own calendars. But unfortunately, Chris isn't here. But as many of our regular listeners know, we do a wrap-up podcast for all of our shows. Once we finish them, Chris will be back in time for those wrap-up shows, so we'll get his thoughts on Miss Marvel when he gets back. I'm so excited to hear what he thinks about this one.
His thoughts, his internal monologues, and his singing, of course, may enter the fray.
Usually edited out, as we know, John. But thanks so much for joining us throughout this season of Miss Marvel. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. It's been a breath of fresh air every week, really, Miss Marvel has.
Yes, like freshly washed sheets with that lovely grass type smell or, river orchid, whatever fragrance you like. Yes, really sort of brightening up the week. Has Miss Marvel.
Did you just take in the washing, John?
I did,
okay,
yes.
Thought so.
And also, of course, it's not only will I miss our little theme, but I will really miss this show. It's just filled with fun, sort of laughter, just positivity. Really, really good.
Yeah, and a few nice emotional moments as well throughout the season.
Definitely.
Yeah, been really good.
Definitely.
But if you have only just joined us for Miss Marvel, you can subscribe to the main podcast feed where you'll get access to all of the shows that we do, over 50 different shows on our podcast feed. You can get that on TV Podcast Industries or just search for TV Podcast Industries on any good or evil podcast player. You can also send in your thoughts for that wrap-up show and on any of the shows that we talk about. You can email us to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com. And if you want to keep up with everything that we're doing, pop on over to our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/TV Podcast Industries. Answer the quick question there and then join us for some chats about the shows that we're covering.
Yes, if you are just joining us for episode 6 of Miss Marvel, the other 5 episodes are there,
Yes, they're
banked and ready to go.
Absolutely, along with 664 other episodes, I think, if I've done my maths correctly there.
Well, give them a chance, at least Miss Marvel to begin with.
That's true.
Yes,
That's true. Start there.
But welcome on board, of course. Derek, let us get into our spoiler-filled review of episode 6 of Miss Marvel.
Yep.
What are some of the episode details?
Well, executive producers for this series are Kevin Feige, Louis D'Esposito, Victoria Alonso, Bisha K. Ali, and Adil Bilal.
Excellent stuff. Yes. I'm still surprised that Kevin Feige, gosh, he does so much.
He really does. He really does. The guiding hand of the MCU, whether it's on TV or in movies. There you go.
Absolutely. But also big heads up to Bisha K. Ali as well as the showrunner ultimately for this show.
Yeah.
Really, as I say, freshly mown grass, spring air, you name it, bracing breeze type series, I think.
Yes, absolutely. She's done such a great job as the head writer on the show. Loads of other people involved in the show, of course, including Adil and Bilal, as I mentioned. They are executive producers of the show. They directed this episode and the first episode, setting the tone for the show. And we see some of those motifs, let's say, come back at the end of the season as well, which we'll talk about in this episode. The story for this episode was written by Will Dunn. He's been a story editor on the show, was the story editor on the first 2 episodes of the season, and he has the final episode. But he didn't work alone on the final episode. He did the teleplay along with AC Bradley and Matthew Chauncey, who we've mentioned a number of times on the podcast before. AC Bradley and Matthew Chauncey, heavily involved and leading the team behind What If.
Yeah, good stuff there. Well done, Will. Writer's room, script advisor to, writing the finale of Miss Marvel.
Well, absolutely heavily involved in the show all along. So obviously he gets the final episode. That makes loads of sense.
Really good. Yeah, really enjoyed this episode.
And John, do you want to tell us what they gave us with your synopsis for the season finale of Miss Marvel No Normal?
Sure. While Bruno and Cameron are on the run, Agent Diva orders the lockdown of the city to find the superpowered teenager. Meanwhile, Nakia, worried about them both, turns to Kamala, who heads out to save the day wearing her new superhero suit given to her as a gift from her mother. Kamala meets up with Bruno and Cameron, who feels like he is being crushed from the power inside him. But with the Department of Damage Control still hot on their heels, Kamala asks Kareem and the Red Daggers for help as they plan to get him to Pakistan. Waiting for Kareem's man in New Jersey and holed up in their school, Kamala, Bruno and Cameron must avoid capture, but are soon joined and supported by Nakia, Amir and Zoe. The group devises a plan to stall the damage control agents who have tracked them to the school. Despite Agent Cleary ordering Divas and her team to withdraw, she ignores the order and has the school stormed. While their fire extinguisher and softball plan slows down the agents, Damage Control manages to arrest everyone except Kamala and Cameron. As they try to escape the school, Cameron asks about his mother, Najma. Unable to lie, Kamala tells him the truth about his mother's death in Karachi. Riven with anger and cornered outside the school, Cameron turns his new powers on Damage Control as they start to shoot at him and Kamala. But in doing so, he also puts in danger a large crowd of bystanders from the local community who have gathered. Kamala uses her powers to protect her community and to stop Cameron from doing something he regrets when Agent Divas looks to take him out of the picture. In a protective crystal dome, Kamala persuades Cameron to accept the Red Dagger's offer and helps him to escape. After the incident, Diva is suspended by Agent Cleary for disobeying a direct order and shooting at children. Kamala takes the name of Miss Marvel after her father explains the meaning of her name in Urdu, and in Karachi, Cameron meets Kareem for the first time. A week later, as Bruno is about to head off to Caltech, he explains to Kamala that she is different from her family, as she has a mutation in her genes. Finally, in a mid-credit scene, Kamala and Carol Danvers swap places after the bangle emits a strange glow.
Ooh, very strange, glowy stuff.
Exactly.
Which has been happening all season, I suppose, as well.
It's the bangle tingle. That's what it is.
There you go. I like it, John. I like it.
Or the tingle tangles. Yeah.
The tingle tangle bangle.
Yeah, the tingle tangle bangle.
A big final episode last week. We were really involved in the history and the legacy of Kamala's family for most of the episode, with just the last couple of minutes really being dedicated to this, moving on to the next episode. But I really felt the excitement in this episode. We're back in school. We're back with her friends, all working together, and all of her community working together in this final episode. I thought worked so well, and exactly what I enjoyed in the first couple of episodes of the show. The rest of the show has been really enjoyable for different reasons, but this was the core of the show when it began. I love that they brought it back to this core for this finale as well.
Oh, definitely. And also with the family and the community there outside the school at the end, you know, as DODC are shooting at 2 children effectively. Yep. So, yeah, I just loved how it all just kind of came back to New Jersey here, you know, and, you know, there was the protection or the use of Kamala's powers as protection, to effectively save Cameron from himself a bit. You know, he doesn't, in the sense he doesn't get lost and consumed by his own thoughts and with this new power in him. But also I love that, you know, the community and her family protect them as well, standing up against the DODC. So like, it's really powerful stuff, I think. I just loved that being brought into the show.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about the show the way we normally do with our marvelous moments from the episode. We have 3 marvelous moments usually. We might even stretch it to 4 this episode, but not sure. We might just cram them all into the third one. Our first marvelous moment in the episode is really about the family surrounding Kamala. Let's talk about the brand new suit in marvelous moment number 1.
Suits you, sir.
Yes.
Sir S, I guess. This was really really nice, I thought, you know, because we've kind of seen the creation of it anyway, in, you know, the episodes earlier with Kareem giving her the red dagger cloth that's used to hide their face and so on.
Yeah.
And, you know, you could see her taking that and putting it on at the time.
Absolutely.
I think and
we had the blue waistcoat that was given to her by the Red Daggers as well.
Yeah.
So Muniba had seen her in the outfit that she kind of homemade with everything attached to it. So she takes that as her inspiration, along with the broken necklace, which we spoke about last episode.
And I love the fact that she probably haggled with the fantastic tailors in Karachi to get this superhero suit for her daughter made, because we see earlier with Muniba and having arrived back from Karachi, and you see Yusuf looking for one item of clothes that he had asked for, and Muniba saying, "I've still got it in me to sort of bargain with the tailors and so on." So I love the fact that this suit was given by Kamala's mother, Muniba, to her in that moment. You have and it's kind of very quick on the tail of Kamala effectively coming out as a superhero to her family, and the pride, but the protection that Yusuf has for her. Have, she calls herself, "I'm the light girl, no night girl." You've got the questions from her brother and his wife, you know, are your powers limitless or do you need to recharge?
Yeah.
So
I like that the question from her brother is a dig at her, because he's still her brother at the end of the day.
Exactly.
So did you drop that boy on purpose at Eid or not?
So I love that this suit giving from Muniba to Kamala is kind of contained within this absolutely gorgeous family setting of one of support, but also one of being still protective. You know, Yusuf saying, well, you're not going out to find danger, are you? But ultimately, just that supportive nature, that's brilliant. I mean, how many times, you know, do you get that in a superhero show? You know, it's normally they're ostracized or they keep it quiet so this was really fantastic. And I think the suit looked amazing. And I loved that all these different people, from the tailor in Karachi to her mother seeing the symbol, off her broken necklace, to the Red Daggers adding their bit to it. You know, all those different elements were just really, really good.
Absolutely. And what I also really liked about this moment with her family, it gave a second to breathe, I suppose, before the episode kicked off. But having that switch in places between Muniba and Yusuf, where Yusuf's now suddenly really worried about his daughter, because while he does believe in her and does love her, he's really now scared that she's going to be going out and looking for trouble. She has to placate him. She tells him, well, you didn't raise anybody that wouldn't help if they had the power to help. And then Muniba saying, but I trust you, which was the exact opposite of the conversation they had about WonderCon, about her going to AvengersCon, at the start of the season, where Yusuf was saying, I trust you, and Muniba was saying, I don't. So that whole experience that they had in Karachi, where Muniba had gotten much closer to her daughter, telling her I'm sorry I've held you so close. You should be allowed to breathe and grow. So that has all changed now. They're now a supportive family around her. And I didn't mean to spoil it at the beginning of the season when I said that this is one of the fundamental things about Kamala Khan's character. She has a very supportive structure of family around her, which most Marvel heroes tend not to. Even in the MCU, tend not to see very many supportive families around them. I think Hawkeye's probably the only example that we've seen of a family that's around him all the time. So I love that they brought this in this way into Miss Marvel, that everybody now knows, and they're all building up Miss Marvel. It's cool.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. And the great thing about it is, as you say, it's the calm before the storm. Mm-hmm. So in that moment where, no, I'm not looking for trouble, you hear the phone buzzing away in the background because Nakia is desperately trying to call her because of the situation with Bruno and Cameron.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. She's FaceTiming Amir, which is kind of cool. I think that's kind of it for the suits element. So let's move on to the big central element of the show, the big antagonist of the show. In our Marvelous moment number 2, we've got the Department of Damage Control on the warpath. We saw last episode, it did end with that big explosion, which destroyed basically Bruno's home. So it destroyed the shop that he works in, and he lives above it. So they're now trying to find Cameron and Bruno on the run, and going to multiple places, trying to find them. But of course, first stop is the mosque to tell them, we're here for your protection. This is going to be much more damaging for you. We're here. You can't take care of anything without our help, basically. So, an interesting antagonist in the final episode. They have been involved right from the closing scenes of the first episode, so they've been in the background a lot, but these are absolutely the antagonists.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I really like this. You have Bruno and Cameron sort of escaping the tube, the metro train.
The underground.
Yes,
that's the other.
And Bruno taking Cameron to the mosque because, mosques, churches, synagogues, are places of refuge. He goes there for refuge.
Yeah.
And, really nice kind of sentiment there coming from Bruno. Mm-hmm. And then you have the Department of Damage Control, on, as you say, on the warpath, hunting for these two after whatever they've seen from the drone footage. Mm-hmm. And I just, then you have, Sheikh Abdullah bringing them in as a place of refuge, and then them walking in again and having that tense standoff. I mean, what they even say that the sanitation divisions probably got them under surveillance. Yeah. I love that they all hold up their ID card. Mm-hmm. They're kind of like, yeah, okay, that's not going to be something you're going to catch us on. And, it's played out, but, seriously, it's Divas is a diva. I mean, she's kind of got a real sort of power hungry, really, takes nothing into consideration. Even like with the quote at the start that we've played, where she, as she's leaving and Sheikh Abdullah gives the quote and she immediately thinks it must be from the Quran, when in fact it's from a president of the United States.
Exactly.
I love that moment, and I love how it was played with that humor of the ID cards, but also with Nakia as well, and Miguel in the, the toilet roll room and with the closet, where then is like, it's my boyfriend, and he's like, you're wearing a body cam, right? Yeah. I want footage of this. I want proof of this. And that kind of playing out through the rest of the episode, even sort of where you get that kind of montage of social media after the fight outside of the mosque. So I just really like that. It was good to see Miguel back again. He was there very much at the start as one of the gang.
He was at the party where they met Cameron, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. So I thought that was done really well. But yes, I think the only thing with the DODC, certainly, are theories at the start of this season that maybe they are Skrull. Certainly haven't played out here. Not particularly, but the tension between Cleary and Divas still suggests that.
Yes, it does. So that. I think it's even more up front now in this episode, because I don't think they would reveal it in this show. I think because we're building up to Secret Invasion with Nick Fury as the central role, featuring the Skrulls. I think they're planting the seeds for who could be a Skrull in the future, and having a person in Department of Damage Control who is so hell bent on shooting in the streets to kill children at a high school as well, you know?
Yeah.
It after being told by her lead officer to back down and walk away, I think this is definitely the person that we're going to see be a big turn in the future. That's a villain. That's not just a member of a government agency.
I mean, it's interesting. It's like, how long do you need for it to sort of come to fruition? Because yes, that's exactly it. You know, whatever government agency, certainly one involved in enforcement and law enforcement, shooting on children, it is certainly not something that would happen normally. I get it. They've got superhero powers, but still they've got the technology to take them down peacefully. Yeah. And certainly it's that going in all guns blazing. So,
and they weren't the only kids on site, and there were innocent bystanders right outside the place. So yeah.
But I think it does need to play out at some point. So I don't know why they haven't hinted at it, even, you know, so if we assume it's still true that Cleary and Devers, or at least one of them, are Skrull.
I think Devers,
then I don't see why they wouldn't sort of make that a little bit more obvious. Right. I mean, even if it was just some kind of like, you know, like the Godzilla or the lizard blink across their eyes or something at some point, because I think it needs to play out for sure, and it needs to be relatively soon.
I think it does, and Secret Invasion is coming soon. Filming has begun on it, so we know it is coming soon. But I think it's just Devers. I don't think it's any other members of Department of Damage Control now. I thought at the beginning of the season possibly, but I think it's just Devers on her own as the plant in DODC. That's why she's completely ignoring the orders of her boss, effectively. So anyway, that's overall the story of what's going on in DODC. We have another big point to talk about in a second, but I do want to call out the very good gag that's used to send Cameron and Bruno on their way when Sheikh Abdullah gives them the hats to put on their head, because that is standard MCU undercover garb. It's gotten so used now that even in shows they're referencing, you need something to wear as a disguise. Here's a hat to put on your head. And
the hoodie in the school as well. So yes, they are using well-trodden disguise, masters of espionage, counterfuge, and disguise, a la MCU for sure. Yeah. And I love that you had, one of their hats was halal, the other was haram.
Exactly.
Which was really good.
Yes, halal being something that is permitted within the Muslim faith, and haram being something that isn't permitted, which is Bruno not being Muslim and Karim being Muslim. So lovely little background jokes there, which I really liked. Good stuff. Let's get on to our marvellous moment number 3 then, to talk about homeschool alone, let's say.
Yeah, I was wondering how this plan that was being devised, I loved how it was done in the artwork on the chalkboard. Yeah. So that was really cool.
I love that you get to the end of the season and you go, that's a real Miss Marvel touch in the 6th episode.
Exactly.
They've already created this kind of palette to work with for the characters.
And I was wondering how they were going to combine softballs, which are anything but, and the fire extinguishers. I love that Zoe was there. I like that there's a little sort of line drawn under that, and I really liked her sentiment as well, that she's only there in school because the music classrooms have got great acoustics for her TikTok posts.
Of course.
But I also like that when she's there, the rest of the group go, well, and Zoe, and she then says, I always thought it was you, but it is for you to tell your story.
Exactly.
Even though she's this big social media storyteller and so on.
Well,
so
there was
really nice.
There was an accusation of Zoe at the beginning that when she got saved by Light Girl or Miss Marvel back in that first episode, there's accusation that she was using it to promote herself. And really what you get out of this, and then Nakia is kind of almost attacking her, because remember, herself and Kamala haven't really made up for Kamala not telling Nakia that she is Miss Marvel. But there's kind of that attack on her of, well, you knew the whole time as well, and you're not even as close a friend as I am, if coming from Nakia. And Zoe saying, but I would never tell anybody else. That's her story to tell. That's her story to share. So it really softens Zoe, who could have been, you know, if this was just a Disney Plus show set in a high school, you'd absolutely have Zoe being the villain who used to be best friends with them. But I like that they incorporate her in the final plan as well. All of the plan that we see on the board is all just distractions. It's not a real plan to do anything and beat the DODC. The real plan is to use Zoe's social media following to get everybody down to the school to distract attention from the DODC and from the kids in the school, so they can get out of the situation. So that's the real plan, is actually using Zoe's ability. Yeah. And I can really tell the difference between my age and Zoe's age, because when they said she has 100,000 followers on social media, I was going, yeah, worldwide, right? But it's really that she has a huge group of followers in Jersey, actual New Jersey. So when she's telling people to line up and get down here, it's all the people that she actually may see in real life.
Yeah, exactly. It was really good. I mean, the plan, I just loved all of this. I mean, to me, it had vibes of E.T. with the, you know, the faceless government agency, DODC agents going after them with the red hoodies,
of course,
and the bike fitted with the fire extinguishers to create this smoke screen. I really kind of loved the use of the classic volcano experiment there to sort of fill the classroom and most of the side corridors as well with the foam generated from it, again, just to slow them down. And then
it's baking soda and vinegar. It
is. It's the classic volcano eruption experiment that you do. And then also with that classic use of the ball firing thing to just fire the softballs at the agents.
Yes, but I really enjoyed how this scene was shot, because you have that moment of, they've gone for a proper kids movie here. They're going for Home Alone as they shoot the softballs at the people in front of them. And almost instantaneously, you see another set of guards coming in directly behind them on the other side. So it's a funny little quick moment, and then they're taken out.
Yes.
As they think they're winning, shooting balls at people who have guns. So I really like that they didn't dwell on it, didn't make it look as if everybody was winning. It was all about distraction. So really good fun.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, the thing here, the bigger threat is Cameron here. Because of his new powers, you know, we see him really struggling to control the power within him.
Even on the subway earlier on, when he's attaching himself to the pole, and then gets pushed and smashes a window on the train. Yeah.
Exactly. And I love the little thing from Bruno to Kamala, you know, don't tell him about his mother, that you have no idea with him struggling to kind of control this power, which I loved it when in that brief moment he couldn't do that, and it went out in those wisps, and then that happens again when he's out the front of the school.
Yeah.
So I really like that, but ultimately he finds out that his mother has died. I kind of wish Kamala had just explained it to him better there and then, but I loved Kamala's sentiment then in the protective dome that she creates around him, that, you know, his mother, Najma, she died so that you could be saved in this world, effectively.
Absolutely. And she sent you everything that she possibly could to help you survive. Yeah.
And so it almost is like this physical manifestation of her love, her care that she has towards him, which was really a great sentiment. But ultimately, until there's that kind of calm down talk with him in this protective dome, he is out to destroy all those DODC agents and the collateral damage that will happen to the bystanders, but also to the rest of the gang who have been taken into custody I mean, you just see the sharpened crystals getting closer to their faces, and they're like, that sort of just in time, Kamala manages to step in. But, he's riven with this kind of revenge and anger a bit from this. So whether that's justified, I don't know, because I do feel if Kamala had just said it a bit differently, it's not to say he wouldn't be angry, it's not to say he wouldn't be upset, but it may have been different.
I don't think they had enough of a breather for her to say too much. She was kind of saying things, but I think the only time they really did have that breather is when she puts the dome over him. Remember, there was DODC officers around the corner who just shot off the corner of a wall right beside Cameron when he learns this information about his mom.
That's true.
So he reacts really quickly. Teenagers do tend to react quite quickly to things as well.
And it's the rabbit in the headlights type thing. He's been backed into a corner.
Absolutely.
And he doesn't like that either.
Absolutely. Rabbit's notorious for being backed into corners and attacking.
Yeah, like that, exactly. Well, no, a wild animal then.
Yes.
But a tiger, you name it, anything but a cross between a tiger and a rabbit.
Okay.
But the other thing is as well, he knows about the red daggers.
Yes, he does.
So I think there's also an assumption that his mum has died because of the red daggers. Because that's...
Well, he says they're more dangerous to him than the DODC outside.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So he's certainly aware of them. So interesting that he takes the advice from Kamala and follows her lead and goes to Karachi to meet up with the Red Daggers.
Yeah.
So you would assume now he's going to be helped to learn how to use his powers with the Red Daggers and won't end off down the same path as the clandestine did. So
yes.
That's, I presume, where his path is going to lead. Yeah. Where are the rest of their paths going to lead, John? Let's say one more big moment. Sorry, of course, one more huge moment from the homeschool alone, from the battle outside the school. Kamala finally says her comic book phrase, the phrase she uses to kind of enter her superhero mode, let's say. She finally says embiggen in the show, to create these massively long, extended light arms that she's got. So you still see Kamala's arms underneath them, but they're new, big, light, extended arms to kind of make herself more gigantic, much closer to the kind of power she has in the comic books.
Yeah, she embiggens, she grows, and that was great seeing that.
Yeah.
Because fellow defenders, at the end when I say keep watching, keep listening, Derek had put, rather than keep defending, embiggen, and I didn't want to use it, but I might be using it on this one because she said it. Because she said it, and it is a great moment.
I was trying to make you look like you knew what was coming,
even though it is one of those words that is kind of like funny.
Exactly. Yes. It fits.
But it does. It fits really well, and it was great to see that new element to her power set as well.
Mm-hmm. So such a big moment from the episode, like the sonic gun that's being used to break the hard light, or the kind of crystal being created by Kamala and by Cameron as well. His is very different from hers. His is coming out really sharp and pointy, which is why you're kind of scared that someone in the back of that van is going to get maybe stabbed by some of this random stuff shooting out from Cameron.
It has a green and yellow tinge to it, whereas hers is more rose and blues. Mm-hmm. So really good seeing this fight. I thought it was a really good fight. I love the family and the community element there as well. I love that moment where they stand up to the DODC agents as they encroach on the dome, instructed by divas to sort of basically take it down, and that Kamala helps Cameron to escape down into the sewers below. And
we have the Spider-Man 2 moment, except this time in New Jersey, because New Jersey people stick up for their own as they protect Kamala. I thought that was a really nice little moment there at the end. That it for the main moments from the episode. We have a few little tags to talk about as well.
Definitely. Some big tags.
Yes, we do.
One massive tag. In fact, one massive gene sequence. It's CRISPR, if you will.
All right, let's just get on to it then, John.
Yes. Wow. I mean, here we were talking about Inhumans, and so on. When in fact we have the prodigy of Bruno, who's done a bit of gene sequencing, as you do, at that age,
he's like Tony Stark, remember?
He is. He's absolutely, he is Phase 4's Tony Stark, I guess.
Maybe.
And he basically informs Kamala that she is different from her family. Amir wanted to see if he had the same powers.
Oh, you'd want to know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he doesn't. And that there was a slight mutation in her genes. Yes.
Different
Kamala
to all
Khan
the rest of her family.
Is not an inhuman, but a mutant.
Yes, the first mutant in the 616 that we've been introduced to, right?
Definitely.
So we have had a mutant in Multiverse of Madness introduced for a short period of time, but this is the first mutant being introduced, and of course, the same as they did with that mutant in Multiverse of Madness, we get a little blast of the 1990s X-Men cartoon music, which was so cool to hear.
That was really a nice touch.
Yeah. Just in case you missed, we do know the importance of using words like mutant in this show. Here's a blast of the theme tune. So
I loved that little touch. It was so good. I also liked as well just the lead up to it with Bruno and Kamala, where he's talking about having done more work on her genes, and Kamala's just, you can call me when you're bored, Bruno. You do know that, you know, really, really good. I love the little toing and froing between Bruno and Nakia over the car, Cameron's car.
Absolutely.
Just really, really good.
Yeah. Yeah, really, really cool.
You know, you get that sense of the friendship here. And certainly with Nakia and Kamala, because, you know, Kamala really saying, you don't hate me for not having told you before other people that I was Nightlight.
Exactly. Yeah, that was really good. But one of the interesting things, I suppose, about this reveal of Kamala being a mutant and different to the rest of her family, we had thought this exploration throughout the series has all been leading from Aisha. Her great-grandmother had the power. It had led down through the family. She puts on the bangle and she uncovers her Jinn self, the magic within her. But it turns out here, the explanation coming from Bruno that she has got a mutation means nobody else in her family could have put on the bangle and gotten the same powers as Kamala got.
Yeah.
They would have tapped in to their internal light, their internal power from stemming back from Aisha, but none of them would have been able to do what Kamala Khan can do, because added to that power is this mutation, which I really love, because I love the idea, as I said a minute ago, I love the idea that Amir was kind of going, but what if I'm also superpowered? Can we find that out?
I know, exactly.
But that's all off the table. The family are her family, there to support her. They're not all going to be a superhero family. It's not going to be the Incredibles next season or something.
But then it's also that Aisha was a mutant. So are the clandestine a mutants? Or it's probably more likely that that's how it's worked through to this point now on Earth.
Yes. Kamala has a mutation different from every other member of her family. It's
exactly.
not stemming from Aisha.
No.
Everybody else has the same genes coming from Aisha. I believe it's the way. Correct me if I'm wrong, of course, but it was only one line of dialogue. But I think that's the inference here, is that Kamala is a mutant, has this mutation, nobody else does.
Yeah, exactly.
So, very cool. Let's quickly talk about Bruno here. Just a couple of little touches, which I thought were kind of interesting to see. You know, we're going to be going into a big movie, a big Marvel movie, which we'll talk about in a second. Bruno has been building up to going away to Caltech. This final moment when he tells this information to Kamala, that's their kind of last night together. They're off to get shawarma together. Yeah. Just like the Avengers did.
Exactly.
But he's off to Caltech. And interestingly, the last scene we saw before that was that he wrote a note and put it into Kamala's locker in school. It must have been Kamala's locker.
Yes, I think so, yeah.
But then a week passes and then they have this conversation. So did she not see the note for the full week?
That's it.
Or were they off school for the week?
It could have been with everything that had gone on. They got a week off. But then he is a bookworm. He likes to go in and do that. But yeah, it was interesting that they didn't deal with whatever he put through the locker of Kamala Khan,
Yeah.
assuming it is.
Yeah, I presume it
guess.
is. But also, he probably isn't just a bookworm. He's probably picking up his documentation to go off to Caltech, John, because remember, it's all being paid for by the school. So
Yes.
That might have been the reason he was in there.
Yeah, that's true.
So Bruno's heading off to the other side of the country. Only a 43-hour drive away. I love that you can say that kind of stuff in America.
Yeah.
43-hour drive. But we should also quickly talk about Kamala getting her actual name as well.
Yes.
Muniba gives Kamala her full suit, her final Miss Marvel suit, and Yusef gives her name.
Yeah.
Tells her what Kamala actually means in Urdu, which is special or wonder or marvel. And I love her instant reaction being, wait a minute, I have the same name as Carol Danvers.
Yeah.
So lovely. And getting her name from her father. It adds to that sense of family we've got throughout the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, I thought dad and daughter on the roof, a real nice kind of bookend here from Muniba at the start with the suit to, as you say, the name Ms. Marvel coming from her dad about how she is a marvel because she was perfect and because they had been trying for so long for a second child. So when she came along, that was the name they gave her. So it was really, it really means something to her, not only because it's coming from her father, but like you say, because it's the same name as Captain Marvel. Yeah. So really, really good little moment there.
I love it. Really cool. Really cool. Right, let's get on to the post-credits scene then.
Yeah.
We had hoped this was what was going to happen. We'd hoped that we were going to see Brie Larson in the series at some point. There's been so much work done by the character of Kamala Khan, connecting the two characters throughout the season. We know they're going to appear on screen together in the Marvels movie. I'm so glad we had a moment here where it connects correctly with the movie. It really does set it up to a point where you could expect to be walking into the cinema next year when the movie comes out, and this would be the opening scene of the movie, as I'm guessing Kamala just got shot across the galaxy as Carol Danvers gets dragged into the bedroom of a 16-year-old.
Well, that's it. Where has she gone to? Who knows? It could be into the middle of an Avengers meeting. It could be. As you say, she's on a spaceship in the middle of space, back on Kree or some other world that Carol Danvers has been rescuing. From Endgame, it was, I'm doing the rest of the galaxy here. Yeah. Not just Earth, as she comes in to help the Avengers defeat Thanos. So I really like that. I love the moment where she, it's kind of like you get the tingle bangle, and then it almost reminded me slightly of the effect in Harry Potter when they apparate off, because she kind of comes out of nothing and spins round.
She kind of twists into something.
Yeah,
as well,
exactly. I love the look on her face as she's looking at herself, seeing all the posters. I mean, it's basically she's just entered potentially into Annie Wilkes's house in Misery, and her number one fan. Like, how's this going to play out? Okay, what's going on?
Yeah.
So I just loved this.
Get
it was
rid of
short.
any sledgehammers.
Exactly.
Yes.
I mean, at the end of the day, it was short, sharp, and just really nicely slick. And because you can just see it starting off the movie.
Absolutely.
So really good.
Very cool. Very cool. That's where we leave the episode, the finale of Miss Marvel. At least this season, but at least, as we've said throughout the season, the cool thing about this is we've known this is going to lead into the Marvels, the movie next year. John, overall, do you defend Miss Marvel episode 6, No Normal?
I do defend this episode of Miss Marvel. I'd give this 5 marvelous volcano experiments out of 5.
Nice.
I just thought it tied things up really nicely. Could some things have been explained more? Yes, I think they could have. Could we have gotten 8 episodes out of this or slightly longer? I think we could. I think there was enough material there, but they went for a nice shorthand all the way through. Not too much explaining. And it came off and was pulled off really, really well here. I loved how it all came together with that just great feeling of, Home Alone, the Goonies, you name it, all this thing of putting together a plan to stop adults from really wrecking you. And, that happening in the school.
Yeah.
I love that Cameron and Kareem are together in Karachi. I'd love to see how that goes. I think that's got real potential with a descendant from the clandestine with the Red Daggers. And I have to say, Iman Vellani, I just thought she was absolutely superb in this.
100%.
I loved her expressions, like when she's up telling her family that she's the light girl or night light and receiving the suit off her mother and hearing about the meaning of her name in Urdu from her father. It felt so genuine. It was really, really well done.
Yeah.
The action sequences were good through all of this. And I think that I kind of just want to see more of this Ms. Marvel space. It really felt uplifting, fresh, dynamic, just urgent, really nicely done throughout the whole of this episode.
Yeah.
And I loved the book endings of Kamala with her family at the start and with the suit, and at the end with her dad. I thought that was really, really nice. Yeah. I loved the sense of the family from this episode. I loved the sense of the community in this episode. I loved the sense of the friendship within this episode. So just absolutely top notch for me. Yeah. 5 marvelous volcano experiments out of 5. Derek,
Excellent.
Do you defend this episode of Ms. Marvel?
No, absolutely. I thought this was a great ending to the series. I've really, really enjoyed, but it just kept giving more and more. I was giggling on the sofa this morning, having my breakfast, watching the episode and going, this is such an exciting way to start the day with this fun adventure. You know, there is serious stuff going on. I think the way they played those moments in the mosque with the DODC coming in and everybody understanding what they're really meaning by the phrases that they're saying, you know, it's played out right at the beginning. There is a seriousness here to the way Muslim Americans are treated. And they deal with that. It's talked about. It's set out there. But overall, the show itself can still be fun and can talk about the experience all these characters are having and the friendships they're having. That central cast that we have here in Iman Vellani, Matt Lintz, Yasmin Fletcher as the 3 friends, and then the rest of the family with Aramis Knight, Shigar Sheikh, and Zenobia Shroff as the family members. I think they're so good and so important to the character Miss Marvel. Yeah. I'm so interested to see how Miss Marvel looks on screen when we see her in the Marvels in future, because I'm expecting we're not going to see a lot of the family around her in the future, but those interactions between them have been so good, it really makes me want to see a second season of this show with all them back together
Definitely. Yeah.
Excellent stuff. We need to get over to the slushy bar for a quick cooling drink after all that action and fun and the reveal of mutants in the MCU. How cool was that? John, do you want to give us our final slushy bar quiz question for the season?
I certainly will. Question 6. What does Sheikh Abdullah call Agent Diva as she enters the mosque to search for Cameron?
I'm just really surprised he didn't tell her to take off her bloody shoes again, because he told her last time.
Exactly.
How disrespectful can you be when you've already told them once?
Yes, exactly.
But John, do you want to give him the question one more time?
Yes. What does Sheikh Abdullah call Agent Diva as she enters the mosque to search for Cameron? Please send in your answers to feedback at TV Podcast Industries for question 6 and for all the other 5 questions from this series of Ms. Marvel. We will announce the winner of the slushy bar quiz on our wrap-up episode when Chris is back, and you will be in with a chance for some Ms. Marvel goodies.
Absolutely. If you've missed any of the questions at all, pop on over to the website at tvpodcastindustries.com. There's a list of all the questions up there. Send in your answers to us, and you can be in with your chance of getting some goodies. Just to mention the timings, we usually try to align that final wrap-up episode along with the assembled making-of documentaries for the TV shows. That doesn't have a date just yet, but I'm assuming it's about 2 or 3 weeks' time is when that's coming up. So you have, let's say, until the end of July to get in your answers for the Miss Marvel Slushy Bar Quiz.
Yes. Good luck, everyone, fellow quizzers and fellow defenders. This episode of TV Podcast Industries has been brought to you by our supporters over on Patreon, including Jenny V. Thanks so much, Jenny, for the support through Patreon. It's really, really appreciated.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jenny. Thanks, everybody that's supporting us over on patreon.com. You can go there to patreon.com/TV Podcast Industries if you'd like to support us for any monthly amount.
Yes. You can also do a one-off donation on buymeacoffee.com/TVPI to buy us a coffee. And of course, importantly, you can support us by subscribing to the podcast and sharing it with friends, family, community, you name it, because sharing the podcast is, of course, sharing the love, and any support we get, no matter how it is absolutely fantastic. Of course, another way of supporting us is by sending in your thoughts and feedback about the shows that we cover. And so onward to our feedback.
Yeah, first up, we have an email in from Jerry who says, "Hey guys, this was a great season finale. Her mom making her costume and her dad giving her name was perfect. This finale made me want so much more. What will happen with Cameron and the Red Daggers? What did Bruno write to Kamala? Carol Danvers switched places with Kamala? Will we get a season 2 after Marvels? My only nitpick is the You're a Mutant scene seems so last minute and out of place. Mutants in the MCU though, finally. This episode felt like a Disney Channel movie from the 2000s, but with a much better budget. The only thing missing was a cameo from Hannah Montana. Finale was a hot fudge sundae with lots of cherries on top from Jerry. That is much better than what your flavor was for last week, Jerry. So obviously enjoyed it a lot, and for the same reasons that we did, really.
Yeah, great stuff, Jerry. It certainly was a hot fudge sundae. Just oozed pleasure and sweetness, but really, really good. I guess maybe Hannah Montana might have been in there somewhere as a little Easter egg. Who knows?
Maybe.
But yeah,
it is on Disney. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think loads of stuff here. I think I get what you mean about the mutant scene being last minute, but I think, that is going to evolve, dare I say it, in the larger space. I think that will be the films. And
I will say, in fairness, there's a really good interview with everybody behind the scenes, including all of the cast and everybody behind the scenes, about that moment. It was kept hidden from so many people because nobody wanted to spoil the reveal that Kamala was a mutant. I think even Matt Lintz, who delivered the line, says until the day itself he wasn't given the actual page. The only person that had it was Iman Vellani, who was freaking out, texting Kevin Feige going, "Do we really get to do this in our show?" So everybody was really excited, but it was being kept under wraps. So it may feel like it's last minute in the episode, but part of that was actually because they were keeping it secret from everybody.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think you're right, Jerry. It really, as a finale, has made me wanting more in terms of about the mutant aspect to it, but also, like with the Red Daggers, with the Khan family, it really has made a really nice, lasting impression here. So great stuff. Thanks for the feedback, Jerry.
Thanks, Jerry.
We also got an email in from Coffee and Vodka who said, "Greetings, fellow light-spiked defenders. As long as you imagine the last 10 minutes of episode 5 was instead of 2 full ones fleshing it all out, this one was sheer comic book mini-movie brilliance. Everyone had their time in the spotlight, contributing to a fun yet thrilling superhero castle defense game-like installment. The social commentary was spot on, and it seems a good bet that Agent Diva is either Kree or a Skrull. Kamala shined like the up-and-coming star that she is. Finally, an optimistic soup is on the scene. Even a nice surprise teaser for the Marvels as well. 5 mini mutants out of 5. Peace and take care, Coffee and Vodka." Great stuff, Coffee and Vodka. I think you're absolutely right. I think Kamala really did shine in this episode and this season. And you're right, an optimistic Soup is on the scene. She will be giving positive energy to the likes of Doctor Strange, who really needs it after his Multiverse of Madness trip, and everyone else. She should have been there when Captain America was down and out in those 5 years between the snap and everyone coming back. Yeah. She could have really pepped him up, I think. And you can see how she would be a nice fit with Ant-Man even, because a few references of Ant-Man here. I think they will get on like a house on fire. So
they will.
Good stuff, Coffee and Vodka. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Thanks, Coffee and Vodka. John Daniel also sent us an email. He said, I was on board from the jump with this episode. I love that they pretty much cut right to the chase with the DODC and the investigation. I also appreciated that one agent asked Agent Deaver to clarify what she meant by, this is what happened when these kinds of people get powers. That, followed by the appropriately unsubtle commentary by how mosques are viewed and treated in this country, the USA, was warranted and welcome. That said, Sheikh Abdullah is a quote machine in this episode. The line, and I'm misquoting properly, just because someone treats you as an enemy, that doesn't mean you have to treat them as yours, really hit hard and applies for Cameron later. Shout out to the badass reveal of the true Miss Marvel costume and confident Kamala bouncing into the alley. I would not have predicted a clutch Zoe alliance if you allowed me 1,000 guesses. Same with Amir, for that matter. I laughed out loud when he popped in, do you even like British Bake Off to Cameron? The imaginative animation is back, and I missed it. The standoff in the high school reminded me of the peak Home Alone booby traps, and I loved it. But Cameron got legit scary. That was a great turn. That dude does not give a F about collateral damage. The pure teenage humanity that Iman Vellani brings to Kamala gave me goosebumps during her hero moments. She, like Peter Parker, doesn't make any of what she's doing look easy or fun when lives are at stake. The community support reminded me of when Spidey stopped the train and the passengers stood up for him, and her father gave real Uncle Ben vibes at the end of the episode.
Absolutely.
Also, any Spider-Man comparison are only high compliments. The show and character are fantastic. I can't wait for more with Captain Marvel beyond a post-credits scene. I'm just biased. John in Chicago, a massive Spider-Man fan.
Yes, great stuff, John. Yeah, I'm totally with you here. I love the Home Alone vibe of that, of the fight in the school. I just loved, the turn of Cameron as well. As you say, really good. Forgot to mention the Great British Bake Off, quote there. Absolutely. Again, it's just how they pepper really serious moments with lines of comedy and fun and diffusing the situation, or with the quotes from Sheikh Abdullah. I thought was really, really good. And Absolutely. I think you're right. I really like that comment you made. The pure teenage humanity of Iman Vellani brings to Kamala is a sheer delight to see. And I think it's to the point with the commentary on, say, as well, with the DODC going into mosques and so on. It's that not only with Sheikh Abdullah and the other people in the mosque, but it's the humanity of teenagers and kids that they still do their life, have their fun, despite all these things going on around. And it's not because they're ignorant of it. They know what's happening. Absolutely. But they also have a childhood to live.
Lives to get on with, exactly.
And, I just thought that was excellent.
Yeah, really good stuff. Thanks, John. John just reminded me of another moment in the episode that I forgot to mention that I really enjoyed when Kamala's traveling through the streets in her new suit, traveling above everybody, and stops at a traffic light. I thought that was fantastic. Yeah. Really good stuff. Thanks, John.
Yeah, thanks, John.
Let's head on over to Facebook for some Facebook feedback.
Yes. Heather Wallace says, oh, my heart, when Muniba gave Kamala the new suit she had specially made, and it was in a box of milk toffee. The sweet her mum bought to stay connected to her. That was some beautiful intergenerational bonding. I loved this episode. There was so much to enjoy, from the family trying to pretend they didn't know Kamala's secret, to the kids going all Home Alone on damage control, to Bruno calling Kamala KK, and all the TikTok videos at the end, just as Kamala once dreamed about. And I hope everyone stays to the very, very end for the final scene. Yeah, thanks so much, Heather. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There is so much love, so much sort of greatness and kindness, in this show. And yeah, that beautiful intergenerational bonding, which we also saw in Karachi the week before. It is just so good. I guess there's people that might say, oh, it's too much like a kid's show, for adults, but it takes you back to your childhood where you have these kind of interactions. Not all of them. They're not, some of them are specific here for Kamala, for her family, for her community. But it's that kind of, it's just that beautiful, sort of humanity of it all, I think. It's great.
Thanks so much, Heather, for your thoughts. Brandy Elise Anderson says, well, on first viewing, I have to say this finale gave me some things I wanted to happen, but then they switched it up on me. Smart, nice, and things I was expecting. All in all, I have to say I really enjoyed this series. I enjoyed that it was a little bit light and airy, and that it was something I needed at this time in my life. And because of that, it was something that I could look forward to instead of some of my other shows that have felt a little heavy, and I've kind of avoided watching them because of it. But just like some of my favourite parts of Moon Knight was the dive into DID and even the Egyptian mythos, I have to say that I definitely love the part that goes more into the Pakistani culture and history. I have to also say my favourite part is that this really felt like a story about how an American Pakistani teenager will deal with becoming a superhero, as opposed to it being a superhero who is a Pakistani American teenage girl. Are we going to get her as a mutant instead of an inhuman? In all, I just have to say that end credit scene has me excited to see what they have in store for me in Marvels. Also, I missed it on the first watch, but on a rewatch, does the X-Men music play at that particular moment of the mutant announcement?
It certainly does,
Brandy.
Brandy. Yes. It certainly does. Yeah. You were not dreaming. Yeah. It was. So I think it's safe to say
no more Inhumans.
No more Inhumans, other than maybe in other universes. But certainly, yes, it was the X-Men music play.
Absolutely.
So good. Really, really enjoyed it.
And as we said earlier on, it's been such a bright spot of the week. It's great to have something like this to look forward to, especially when you're covering big shows like The Boys or other shows that we've covered in the past. Having this every week to look forward to has been great fun.
And I think there's a really real skill actually, to blending, the Pakistani culture, the history of, through the family that is the Khans, and tackling some really, difficult subject matter, which, they're not going and they're not laboring on it, but they do it in a light, airy approach.
Yeah, exactly.
To it. And there's a skill to that for sure. I think. Which is really, really good for me.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks so much, Brandy. And thanks everybody for your feedback that you've sent into us throughout this season.
Exactly. Thanks so much, Brandy. Really good to get your thoughts. And thanks to everyone, as Derek says as well, for sure.
Yes, not the last chance to get your thoughts in. As we mentioned, we will be doing our wrap-up podcast. So if you didn't get the chance to get in your thoughts about Miss Marvel, we'd love to hear them. Email us to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com. Just mark it Miss Marvel. And make sure you enter the slushy bar quiz for Miss Marvel and get your hands on some Miss Marvel goodies. This is the end of the Miss Marvel podcast itself, but we are moving over to The Umbrella Academy Season 3.
I don't know whether time has slowed down or not, but I feel as though we've been saying that for a long, long time now.
We have. It came out right in the middle of our podcasting. We have recorded our first 2 episodes, but I haven't released them. I was holding back until we'd finished Miss Marvel, finished The Boys, and then we can start releasing episodes for Umbrella Academy.
Yes.
And we will have them out reasonably quick for the series, but we just got 2 of the bag, and they'll start coming out towards the end of this week into next week.
Yeah, definitely. But
So come enjoy us for that as well.
absolutely. There is the Umbrella Academy, of course, that we'll be covering. There are our 2 wrap-up shows, as Derek has already just mentioned. Yeah. There is, of course, on the Marvel radar for you, our fellow defenders, there is She-Hulk that will be coming out towards the end of August as well. There is The Sandman as well. Another comic book property from the amazing Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
And of course, there will be at some point Thor, Love and Thunder.
Yes, we haven't seen that yet. We haven't been out of our houses, to be honest. We've just been podcasting about all the other shows that we're covering, so we will eventually get to the cinema and be talking about that in the podcast. So join us for that. Make sure you stay subscribed to TV Podcast Industries. Thanks for joining us. I'm going off to get shawarma.
I think I might just join you. But before I do, thanks so much, fellow defenders, as always, for being a part of the podcast and for this marvelous series that we've been covering. Can't wait to hear your thoughts again on the podcasts coming up. But remember, keep watching, keep listening, keep defending, and biggin'.
Bye.